dear students, today we are going to start chapter number 12 of English grammar, that is essentials of English grammar and composition, and name of the chapter is verbs, active and passive voice. This chapter is really very important and very easy also if you understand the rules and how to apply those rules in sentence. Then it's the easiest chapter. Let us learn about active and passive voice. Before learning the rules, we must be aware of that what is active voice and what is passive voice. So let us learn it. A transitive verb has two voices. Must remember it's transitive verb. Transitive verb means a verb which has an object. If in a sentence a verb contains an object, then only it will be changed into active or passive voice. So a transitive verb has two voices. One is active voice and next one is passive voice. Look at the sentence. Renu plays tennis. And the second sentence, tennis is played by Renu. Now after reading these two sentences, you must be thinking that their meaning are same, just they are written in different way. So their form is different and their emphasis is also different. No doubt meaning is same. In first sentence, the doer of the action, which is a subject, is placed in the beginning. And in second sentence, the subject is placed in the place of object. Means the person who is doing the action is placed at the last. So when the subject of a verb performs the action named in the verb is said to be active voice. When the subject of a verb receives the action, then the verb is said to be passive voice. Like tennis is played by Renu, here Renu is receiving the action. So here word played is receiving the action, so it is passive voice. In first sentence the emphasis is on Renu and in second sentence the emphasis is on tennis, means that was object before. So first sentence is active voice and second sentence is passive voice. But now the question arises, what is the use to change a sentence in passive voice? So passive voice is used when it is not known who performed the action. Sometimes we do not know that who performed the action, just we know about the action of being performed. So in such cases passive voice is used. And when it is not important to mention that who performed the action, then also we use passive voice. And if we have to emphasis on the person or the thing who receives the action, then also we will use passive voice. Now it is more natural to use active voice because generally we have to mention that who is performing the action and we are aware of the person who is receiving the action. So there generally we use active voice. But besides, sentences written in the active voice are shorter and more elegant, because when we change a sentence into passive voice it becomes longer. So there are some situations in which we need to use passive voice. So let us look at some example and learn it through example that which are the situations. As I told you that when we don't know who performed the action, like my pocket was picked. Here we have used passive voice because we don't know who performed that action. So in such case we will use passive voice. When it is important that action is more important than who performed it, then also we will use passive voice, like all morning flights were cancelled. Here it is the cancellation of flights that is important, not anything else. So here we have used passive voice. But sometimes we want to put emphasis on the person or the thing that receives the action. Like two agreements were signed. By whom it was signed, it doesn't matter. But two agreements is a matter of importance where we have to put emphasis. So it's receiving the action, and to bring it on emphasis we have used passive voice. So these are the three main places where we need to use passive voice. Now changing sentences in active voice to passive voice. Now we have learned till now that what is the use of changing sentences into passive voice, but now the question arises, how will we change? So to change sentence from active to passive, the three changes are there which we have to make, that are: subject will change into object, object will change into subject, and then verb. Verb will change according to the rule. And it must be remembered that always we use third form of the verb, that is past participle, in passive voice, but it is always used along with a auxiliary verb. So that auxiliary verb we will learn in the rules, that what is the rule regarding changing the verb. But these three are the main changes which we have to make in the sentence. Like Renu plays tennis. Here we have three things: one is subject, one is object, and one is verb. So according to the rule, to change a sentence into passive voice, subject will change into object, object will change into subject. Now Renu is placed at the last, and tennis, which was object, is our subject in the passive voice. Now plays. Plays is changed into is played, and before the object Renu in passive voice we will use by. This is a rule. Now active object tennis has become passive subject, and active subject Renu has become passive object, and verb is changed according to the rule. Verb third form is placed along with auxiliary verb, means helping verb. So you have to remember that the sentences in which transitive verbs are used, that only can be changed into passive voice. And in passive voice we always use past participle, means third form of the verb along with helping verb. Now if we have a sentence with a noun, then it's very easy to solve that, to change it into passive. But the problem arises or difficulty is created when in place of noun we have a pronoun. So the rule regarding a pronoun is that the subjective case will change into objective case, and objective case will change into subjective case. We have to be very careful about the personal pronoun. For that you will have to remember this table. In this table, one is nominative case, another one is accusative, and third one is possessive. Accusative case is known as subjective or objective case also, means nominative case will change into accusative case in passive voice, and accusative case will change into nominative case. Here you will have to learn this table: first person, second person, and third person. In first person singular plural, in second person singular plural, and in third person singular plural. And what are the nominative cases and what are the accusative cases? So in active passive voice, nominative case will change into accusative case, and accusative case will change into nominative case. After learning this table only, you will be able to change the sentence into passive voice if pronoun is given in place of subject or object. Now let us look at the object or the subject may be a long phrase. These rules we are learning that it doesn't require. First we learned that the subject or object may be a noun. Then we have come to know that it may be a pronoun also. But sometimes what happens, Rather than becoming a noun or pronoun, it may be a long phrase instead of a single word. Like the wind uprooted a large number of trees. Here, a large number of trees is a object. So, object can be one word or it can be a long phrase. So, now this phrase will come at the place of subject. This will change into subject. Now, in passive voice, a large number of trees were uprooted by the wind. So, here we are learning that a subject or object may be a word or a long phrase. Now, detransitive verb, as we have come to know that only transitive verbs can be changed into passive voice, but if the verb is ditransitive, means having two objects, then what will happen? If the sentence can have two objects, like your uncle teaches us English. Now we have two objects with us. One is us and second is English. So in such kind of sentences we have two options. Either we can use first object as our subject or we can take second one also. Like we are taught English by your uncle. Now us is changed into we and now we have framed the passive voice. But we can use the second object also as our subject, like English is taught to us by your uncle. Both are correct, but although it's preferred to use first object as the subject. So in ditransitive verbs where we have two objects, we can use either object as our subject in passive voice. Now, verbs followed by preposition. Sometimes we have the verbs which are followed by prepositions. So what to do with those prepositions? Inactive verbs followed by preposition, retain them when they are changed into passive voice. Means the position of preposition will remain as it is in passive voice also. Like she didn't care for me. Here for is a preposition and care is a verb which is followed by the preposition. So here in passive voice also care will change but for preposition will remain as it is. So if we have the verbs followed by preposition in active voice, in passive voice also the position of preposition and the preposition will remain as it is. Now, interrogative sentences. If we have simple assertive sentences, then the rules I have told you. But if we have interrogative sentences and we have to change them into passive voice, you have to remember that interrogative sentence will remain interrogative only. We will not change it into assertive, as in direct and indirect speech we change the sentence interrogative sentence into assertive sentence. But in active passive voice, in active voice, if interrogative sentence is given, in passive voice also it will remain interrogative. So here, do you obey your parents? It is in interrogative form. Are your parents obeyed by you? It's also in interrogative form. So interrogative sentence will remain interrogative only in active as well as in passive. So this is all regarding the main foundation of the chapter. Thank you.